These little videos have become kind of a regular thing with me, and it hadn't been intentional. It's just one of those things that I started doing for a particular reason. But and I've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot good. People have thanked me for things that I've said, and also the bad, those who disagree and those who vehemently disagree. Um, I've heard things such as, Joe, why you seem like a genuine guy, why the religion? And it's not about that. You'll bear with me a minute, and I'll explain. But there was also one the other day that told me he used to be a believer, but for a particular reason why they decided not to be a believer anymore, which that's a completely different story there. And later on, they told me, I told them that I would talk with them if they wanted to talk about it, and come to find out all they wanted to do was really argue. So it was unfruitful, and I didn't take it any further. But they told me they had a master of divinity. I mean, that may or may not have been true. I don't know. From the things they were saying, it didn't really seem like it, but I don't know. But there was also a guy who had something similar. The Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul he was what he claimed to be a Pharisee of Pharisees under the teaching of Gamaliel, if I pronounce that right. But basically, in his position, he had to know the Bible, which was from Genesis to Malachi, by heart. He had to be able to recite it, know all of these things. Very strict. Um, they had to conform to it. I mean, there was things punishable up to death, if they didn't, and that was one of the reasons why he was persecuting those who called themselves Christians, those who followed Jesus, until he met Jesus. He met Jesus on the road to Damascus, and that was a turning point in his life. And he tells us in the book of Romans, in chapter 8, verse 7, he says that the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God. It it doesn't submit to God's law, but the the last part of it is the telltale of it all. It says, "Indeed, it cannot." See, unless we've met Jesus, unless we've like literally, and I know this may sound crazy to some of you, but unless you have met Jesus, you don't get it. You don't understand. Even those who may go to church, you've been going to church all your life. You've never met Jesus a day in your life. You're full of religion. I can say that with certainty because I was there myself. I was raised in church. I slid away from it. I walked the aisle as a 8-year old, 7-year old. I wanted to meet Christ. I proclaimed to know Him most of my life, but I lived like hell. One day I was around 29 years old. Well, I was 28 years old, and I decided to go to a party. And I'd started reading the Bible. I was pretty interested in a lot of the theology, but I was actually at a party. We were drinking on Christmas of 2005, and something come over me that the only way I know how to explain is what I later found out would be the Holy Spirit convicting me of the problems and the sin and the awful things that I was doing in my life. And from there on out, I began a new journey. I actually could see what happened to Paul, the Apostle Paul. I could see for the first time in my life who Christ truly is, because he was there. He was a part of my life. Now, did that automatically make me a perfect person? Absolutely not. I've struggled since then, big time. And I still do in many respects. But it changed my life. It changed my whole worldview. It changed my outlook. It's not about religion anymore. It's not about what I believe, I don't believe, what you believe, it's different secondary things. It's about, I know him now. I've met him now. I understand him now. He's opened my eyes now. It says right there along the same lines, Romans chapter 8, he says, but the mind that is on the Spirit is life and peace. So these videos aren't about some sort of religion. And I promise you, you could meet me and know me, and you could tell that I'm not a very religious person at all. But as far as now knowing Christ, I can't explain it to you unless you trust him yourself. If you'd like to talk about that, I'm here. Message me. I'll give you my phone number. I'll give you my address. Come talk to me. Those of you that knew me back then, those of you that are still my friends, my door is open anytime. My phone's with me. Come see me.